Well, Mike here again. I want to show you how to do when you get your fermenter starter kit complete. I'm going to demonstrate how to use your turbo yeast and talk to you some more about our other yeast. Okay, when you get your starter kit complete, of course this is the bucket. Everything you have will come in the bucket. We get an airlock, 2 bags of turbo yeast, a spoon, stick-on thermometer, which we will put on right now. Put it right there. Real proud of our fermenter buckets. We got our labels on there. First thing you want to do, put you some warm water in it. I'm lucky enough here in my shop that I have a sink with running water. I know some of you guys are going to envy this, and I hate that, but man, I really like it. It's pretty handy. So what I do, put warm water. It doesn't have to be real hot. Warm it up to melt your sugar. If you get it too hot and you put your yeast in there, it will kill your yeast. I wouldn't ever add any yeast to anything over 90 degrees. Let it cool. Well, what I'm going to show you how to do is I put warm water in here, put my sugar in, stir it up, get it mixed up real good, then put cool water in to cool it down. Then put your yeast in. So I'm going to put about 10 liters of warm water. No, 15. We'll go 15 liters of warm water, and then what I'm going to show you right now is Hillbilly Still's 48-hour turbo yeast. Man, if you need a fast fermentation, 2 days, it can be ready to run. If you leave it 5 days, you'll have 20%. Now, if you're going to do, I just suggest this for straight sugar. I wouldn't use it with grains or anything. If you're going to do a grain, I highly suggest the Prestige with WD. It's a really good grain yeast. It works real good with any grains. Or the Liquor Quick Whiskey Pure. But I probably prefer the Whiskey Pure better, but it's tough, and they're both awful good. Okay. Alright, so we've got about 17 liters of warm water, and you probably can't see it right now. It's showing that it's 76 degrees. It's a little warmer than that. That's probably going to rise. Okay, our Hillbilly Still's turbo yeast calls for 18 pounds of sugar for a 6.5 gallon ferment. So here we go. Open your sugar. And I do have 2 10-pound bags here. Second bag, I'll just give it a rough estimate, which that'll be fine. One 10-pound bag of sugar. Have a lot of hummingbirds here in Kentucky, and they would love this. They'd be some wired up little fellers. Drink all this sweet stuff. Pretty close. I think there's 2 pounds left in there. Take your spoon. You'll get a long spoon with this also. Keeps your hands from getting all that sticky stuff. I had some shorter spoons, and I just got tired of getting sticky, didn't like them, so I got these long spoons. When you order one of these kits, if you order a starter kit complete by itself, it'll come in a one box with your bucket and all your goodies inside, your yeast, your airlock, your stick-on thermometer, your hydrometer set, alchemimeter, test jar, I'm trying to think of what else, your 2 bags of Hillbilly Still's turbo yeast. And then this spoon and your racking cane will come in another smaller box. So it'll come in 2 boxes. And my wife takes care of a lot of my shipping for me. She didn't like it because now we have to use 2 boxes. A little more work involved in shipping because the other spoons fit inside the bucket. But man, your hands got sticky. So stir that up, just give it a good stir, get it all mixed up in it. It's so thick it almost looks like syrup right now. Okay? Let's look at our temperature. Temperature's showing about 84, 80, no, actually no, it's 88 degrees. That's too warm. So I'm gonna come back. I can't put too much water in there because it's gonna bubble big time. I'm gonna come up to about 26 on the liters. Just enough cool water to hopefully cool it down where I feel comfortable pitching the yeast in. I think it will. The main thing, the most important thing is get your sugar dissolved really well. And that'll make your ferment work much better. Alright, that's enough. I like to leave a good 2 inches from the top. Now when this stuff starts to ferment, don't panic either if you see your temperature rise, because it'll actually create heat. The yeast works so hard. And you'll probably see your temperature come up some. I suggest keeping this in a room where no sunlight can hit it. I like to keep all the sun off of it. I always drape a blanket over mine just to keep all the light out of it. It's just me. I think it works better. Keeps all the sunlight out, and like in the winter, it'll actually keep a little heat in too, because do it in your house. Okay, it's down to between 86 and 88 now, so we're safe with that. So then just take your Hillbilly Stills turbo yeast, shake it down so you don't lose any. I just use my pocket knife. If you have scissors, it probably works a little better. And then sprinkle it out in there very well. I like to give it a good stir after I do that. Should get it all off the sides, but it'll get back up on there as it starts to work, because it'll really bubble when it starts working. Okay, that should be ready to go. Gotta get all this sugar off my hands. I'm a pretty sweet guy, but man, that's ridiculous. Okay, so now we take our top. Notice it's got a hole with a rubber grommet in it. That's for your airlock. Seal this real well. Take your airlock. There's a line on here that says fill line. Put water up to the bottom line. And if you get a little full, like I usually do the first time, and shake a little bit out. As you can see, I'm a little sloppy. My wife was really glad that I had my own sink over here. This part just sets on top of the plastic tube. Then your cap goes on. You'll notice your cap's got little holes in it. That's to let air escape. The purpose of this airlock is strictly to let your pressure out, because this is going to create a lot of CO2 gas when it starts to work. And it keeps any germs, bacteria, or anything from going into your bucket also. One thing that I should have told you that I forgot left out, and it's pretty important. Before I ever start, especially when I get a new bucket, I'll take some bleach water, just a diluted solution. You know, it doesn't take a lot of bleach. Two tablespoons of bleach and say half a gallon of water, and take my hand with a good clean rag, wash it out real good. Then I'll put the lid on it, kind of slosh it around, pour it out, and rinse it very, very well. You want to get all the bleach out, because the bleach will kill your yeast. Rinse it very well, let it dry, then start your process of getting your fermentation ready. A lot of times, if you don't do that, you'll have bacteria in there that cause infection in your yeast or things like that. But if you take the precaution to get it good and clean, like I say, a very light solution of bleach water will do great. That's all there is to it. In about 3 or 4 hours, this airlock will be bubbling like crazy, and in 2 days it'll be ready to run. I'm going to pour this in one of my little 13 gallons with a 3-inch pot still, and make some ethanol. That's all I make here. I have a permit for ethanol. If you're doing a micro distillery, and still got sticky on it. If you have a micro distillery and you're doing on-grain fermentation, then like I said, I suggest one of the other yeast. Liquor Quick Whiskey Pure is really good, and a Prestige WD with WD is real good. They both have some extra nutrients in there. I'm gonna try to pronounce it. Amyloglucosa, something like that. I can't pronounce it. I'm from Kentucky. I do good to pronounce water and sugar, you know. So that's all there is to it. I hope that explains it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I've left out that might be important for you to know. And like I say, I'll cover that with a blanket, keep the sunlight out of it. I like to keep light off of it, period. And keep it in a place where it doesn't get below 70 degrees. If it gets 60, 65, it'll slow way down and it will not ferment it'll take a lot longer. It'll still ferment, but it'll take a lot longer for your ferment to finish. Another thing I should have told you, my bad, is check your specific gravity. And I know I've already added my yeast. This is a no-no, but we're going to do that. I'll show you how, and this will give you a pretty good indication of what kind of a ferment you should have. It's already starting to get foam on top. It's trying to work already, believe it or not. I should have done this before I ever added my yeast, because it's hard to read this once you add your yeast. Okay, I'm getting 1.1. Which will be, I'm reading here around 15%. So I know where I started at with 1.110 actually is what it is. Now, if you're not sure when this is finished, if you've got questions about when it's done, when it's finished, done fermenting, then you can take your hydrometer here, check it with, put it back in there. If it reads anything below 1.000, it's finished. 0.990, it's not going to get any better than that. So if you see those numbers, you're ready to start your distilling. Now what I do suggest doing when this finishes, I like to let mine set for a while. I gotta add some water to this, record some out. I like to let mine set for 2 or 3 days in a cool place, and that will, all your yeast and everything will settle to the bottom a lot better. You'll see you'll have like a 1.5-inch yeast bed at the bottom, layer of yeast. Then what I do is you get your racking cane and your tubes with it. Take that and siphon it off. Racking cane is basically nothing but a siphon tube. It's a hard plastic tube, makes it easier to get all the way to the bottom. You know how if you just use a hose, it's going to curl, and then you end up stirring up your yeast and you get it all in there. You're better off to distill, get as little yeast in there as possible. I'll siphon down to about 1 inch or so off of my yeast bed, and then what's left in there, I let that go to waste. I pour it out. Now, if I've done a grain fermentation, if you're a micro distiller, you're doing a grain fermentation, then and this is basically, you can do this the same way. You can use put 5 pounds of cracked corn in here, about this much warm water, 10 pounds of sugar, maybe 12. Mix that up real good, stir it. And I use hotter water on that to kind of help the corn along. I like it almost boiling. I'll heat it on the stove. Not boiling, but almost. Put it in there, stir it up real good, and then I'll let that sit for like 90 minutes, okay? Then come back and top it up with cooler water. And then take your whiskey pure, sprinkle that on top. And if you're a micro distiller, you can get a pretty decent product like that. That's not a cooked mash by any means. It's not an all-grain mash because you got sugar in there. It's what they call a sugar wash, but it's real good for beginners to learn to start out. And once you learn that process and the distilling process, The all grain process is pretty detailed. There's a lot of places on the internet you can find instructions on how to do an all grain mash if you want. But basically, I made this video just to demonstrate your starter kit, fermentation starter kit complete, and how to mix up your yeast and your water and your sugar and use your airlock and get all that going. So I hope this has been informative. I really want to apologize for forgetting to check my specific gravity before I put my yeast in, because that's when you need to do it, not afterwards. And other than that, well, I hope it's been helpful, and I look forward to your business. Thank you very much.